Okay, so you can record.
Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne, for joining today. So just from a background perspective, I founded the BA Knowledge Share group on Facebook, and
Okay.
I have a blog as well called BA Knowledge Share. But part of it is my goal is to kind of disseminate information to members of this group and of my bloggers. And I came across your interview with IIBA, so I thought it would be
Mm.
a good opportunity for kind of us to have this conversation or dialogue around the change management and the work you're currently doing.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so that being said, Yvonne,
Sounds good.
do you have any questions for me?
Okay, so you said interview. So was this, I know I've done a podcast interview with IIBA and I know I've done a webinar for them. So which one did you come across?
I actually did it's not the webinar, it's the actual interview that you had with the IIBA.
Okay, all right. Okay, just to give me some context.
Sure.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
So that being said, first question that I had was, can you speak a little bit about how you transitioned from being a BA to change management and leadership? And even before that, can you give me like a quick 20-second intro about yourself?
Okay. Yes. So for me, I am a change management strategist. And as a change management strategist, what I do is go into organizations to help them to lead and implement their change. It could be technology, regulatory, business processes, transformation. So I help them to lead and implement the change. And I tend to work with business analysts and project managers to do that. I also do change management, change leadership coaching for professionals and executives, and advisory as well. So I do implementation, coaching, consulting, advisory. I'm also a change leadership advocate. So what I mean by change leadership advocate is I am passionate about the change leadership as a core skill that is required in today's business environment, especially with all of the technologies and fourth industrial revolution, and even now with the pandemic, which has accelerated all of it. Change leadership is a skill that is no longer for the select few. It's no longer for the executives or management or just a change manager doing it. It's something that is a competency across board that people need to embrace and have. So I have a passion there, and through that, we have the Change Leadership Conference, which we do. And the Change Leadership is all about advocacy for driving that important need for change leadership across board, especially in today's business environment.
You know, I hear you. The pandemic has definitely accelerated, as you said, a lot of these changes, even in terms of how we work, how people work remotely, as business analysts as well, even how you do, I don't know, elicitation, gathering of requirements, all we changed from what I used to see in the past. So that kind of transitions into the question, right? So how did you move from being a BA and being in that space to being in change management?
I'll say the number one thing has to be curiosity. Curiosity. So and why I say curiosity, it was always that having that, first of all, what led to it was always having that curiosity from wanting to know what's happening with the people side of things. How do we sustain this change? How do we make it possible? How do we make it feasible and all of that? So my transition was really from being, first of all, a project manager. So I moved in from being a business analyst to a project manager. And from being a project manager, I then moved into management consulting and back into project management. And so it was my stint in management consulting that got me, again, more curious about change management. And then going back into project management, I started to lean more towards the business project management. So even when I was in an IT project, I always had that people focus. What are we doing from a people side of things? What are we doing from a people perspective to ensure that this change is successful? And then I started to just recognize there was a name for it, which was change management. And I just went full on into focusing on change management as a skill by, on the job training, going for training, attending training around it. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. And that's kind of where you started your own company, just being passionate about change management. And that's kind of what I kind of read about you and heard about you from different interviews. So that's, I mean, kudos to you that you've used and you've gone through so much and you understand, the project management piece of it as well as the business analysis piece. And I'm sure you use those tools and those skills in what you do now in terms of
yes. I remember being on the project, which was change management. I was there as a change manager. There was a project manager, there was a business analyst, and this business analyst had just started. And there I was in the meeting, I was asking the business all kinds of questions and talking and going on. And she then turned and said, "Who is that person? What's her role exactly on this project? Is he trying to take my job or something?"
Right. I can only imagine.
I have to say that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, and it's everything comes in handy. My business analysis skills has come in very handy for me as a change manager, because there's still some level of analysis, solicitation of requirements, understanding your business stakeholders. There's so many elements of being a business analyst and even being a project manager that has helped shape my career as a change management strategist.
No, that is interesting because a lot of people that are business analysts, right? So people that are newbies that want to be BAs, they don't see the value of being a BA yet when they're joining. But I think your point is you after having played these roles, I think the takeaway for at least my viewers is that it's the you learn a lot of skill sets that you can implement in your day-to-day work, in your case change management, in your day-to-day activities that you do as well, right? So say for instance, if I as a BA, so I'm a business analyst, right? So when someone says, I need to order a cake, right? So my head immediately goes to the thing like, well, what are the dimensions of the cake? What icing do you want on the cake? So it's that granularity that you can't get away with, is what I'm saying.
Yes, so, for sure. Everything comes together. And everything works together for good in the end. It comes in handy. My effectiveness as a change a manager, I see my project management coming in sometimes, having to be able to plan out, put timelines, follow up on certain things. Everything always comes to play to make things more effective, and there might be some things that even as some roles or things I've done as a non-business analyst, non-project manager, but they're just resident there in my mind, and they're skills that will always come into play. And another important thing is that the roles are evolving, and I've shared that with you already, is that because of where we are right now with the future of work, changing technologies and where things are, the lines are getting blurred between roles within project environment. So especially for smaller organizations cannot sometimes afford to hire a change manager, business analyst, project manager. So you find that they will sometimes have the project manager and the business analyst do the change management components of it. Some organizations in the past, you would have the business analyst and project management role combined. I'm sure you're familiar with some organizations doing that, where they want the project manager to also play business analyst role, or the business analyst to play project management role. And that's where you see that a lot of organizations, they're beginning to realize the value for change management, but due to sometimes resource constraints and not having a thorough understanding of what change management is all about, they might say, the business analyst or the project manager can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole concept of a hybrid BA, like BA/Scrum, BA/data analyst, there's so many different, even BA/tester, like there's so many different angles or combinations that are popping up nowadays. From your perspective though, if a BA was interested to get into change management, what are some of the skill sets that they need to kind of put in their toolbox in order to kind of get into management?
Yes, some of them, they have it already. I would say tailoring it to be more people focused and customer centric and business owner centric. I say that in terms of, as a business analyst or even project manager, or anybody working in the project, we've been trained with the aspect of focusing on making the project successful. As a change manager, you have to have a mindset shift to saying what is important to the people and the organization first, you know, and align that to what is important to the project. I mean, so stay with me here. So it can seem very tricky because, you know, you might think, I mean, I did the same thing. Perfect example. A business analyst goes in, my focus is I want to get the requirements done and signed off and ready, and ready so that I can hand it over to the developer. You know, it's all about some certain timelines. As a change person, I'm focused on, has the business contributed? Are they fully agreed? Did we collaborate with the business? You know, which business analysis should do anyway, but sometimes we're in project mindset that we don't get to do those kind of things. So from a change perspective, I'm always thinking about the people side of things, the collaboration, involving the stakeholders. So there's a lot more focus on stakeholders. Okay. So that's the first mindset shift, to move more towards stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management type of thing. Another thing from a toolbox perspective is things like communication, very key. I mentioned already collaboration, very key. It's a lot more into personal skills, and I'll say a lot, and that's some of the things that I teach in my Change Leadership Accelerator course around equipping yourself with the skills that you need to be able to lead and drive change. And maybe this is a good point to say and share that there's a difference between change management and change leadership.
Okay, I did not know that.
Change management, change management is very tactical. It's about, you know, there's a project, there's this change, we need to implement this change, and we get tactical. These are the different deliverables. Just like on the project side, you might, and business analyst side, you might have your use cases, your requirements, your project plan, and all of those are very tactical deliverables you have to go through. And with change management, so you have those very tactical deliverables where you have this change, and the objective is to help support the project alongside. And you have your deliverables, your stakeholder assessment, your organizational assessment, change assessment, impact analysis. You do all of those things. You come up with your change strategy, your change management plan, very tactical. Change leadership is more focused on the ability to be able to lead and manage the change. It's about the competencies, it's about the skills. So as a change manager, I still have to have change leadership skills. But as a business analyst, I need more change leadership skills for sure, to be able to help me support, lead the business, you know. But if I'm now asked to play a change management role in the capacity alongside my role as a business analyst, I need definitely change leadership skills. That's for sure, because there's only so much you can do where you have your business analysis deliverables, your requirements, your design documents, all your use cases you have to do. So if you're being asked to lead and manage change as part of your role, whether it be as a project manager or business analyst, what you need to support that is change leadership skills that will enable you to lead and drive that change effectively.
Okay, nice.
Does that?
Yeah, that does. So for me, I always thought that change management is just change management and includes people and folks and individuals that really deal with the front end customer, people, you know, that part of it. I didn't realize that whole change leadership component and how that kind of ties in.
Yeah. One of the things you can do, if you check out my YouTube website, I have something that says the difference between, I have this short video that I explain the difference between change management and change leadership. And I also have some text which I can share with you. But maybe I start off my course, I always tell people, first of all, the difference between it. And that's where I had to say that, because there's a lot of mistakes whereby a manager or somebody like a business analyst or project manager, they get overwhelmed when they see all of this change management discipline, skills, and competencies that they feel they need to take on board alongside their day-to-day job. And they're like, where am I going to get the time to do all of this? Right. You know, so when they say manage change, sometimes what they're saying is be able to lead and drive the change to a successful end and outcome. doesn't mean that you have to produce all of the change management, the tactical change management deliverables that come as part of change management.
Gotcha.
So it's something that is used interchangeably a lot of times.
That's good to know. I learned something new. See, definitely in terms of the role of a BA, and in terms of things that are coming up like AI. There's robotics. There's the pandemic at this point.
Yeah.
How do you see things changing for the role of the BA? I know you touched upon the
Okay. So that, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I sent you some information on that. I already sent you some text in your email to answer that question. But so you have the detail there. But in summary, I would just say it's changing because what the AI and robotics and all of them bring is what you call the future of work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've come across the term, everybody talks about the future of work. That's just really how we work, what type of work we do, how all of that is being accelerated by, or is being shaped, not accelerated, it's being shaped by things like AI and technology and fourth industrial revolution technology. That's future of work. It can seem very confusing when everybody's talking about, but it's just saying that because of the introduction of fourth industrial revolution technologies such as AI, robotics, 3D, that's going to change what type of work we do, where we work, how we do our work, who we work with. So now you have the pandemic. So a lot of times we're talking about the future of work like it was very distant. But the pandemic just came right back and accelerated the future of work. So all of the many technologies that we're thinking about, AI, robotics, all of that, when are we implementing it? They were already implementing it. Now, so many organizations just went full steam ahead in implementing it, just because we had to respond quickly to all the demands of the workplace. So even things like privacy that were concerns before, privacy, what are the privacy implications? When they had to do the contact tracing, they had to use technologies like AI and all of that. And that conversation around privacy was just thrown over the wall. People stopped talking about it too much or being concerned about it because they were more concerned about the pandemic.
Right.
So what all of this now means for the BAs is that their roles too are evolving. There were certain things that, before, just if you remember the QA side of things a while back, quality assurance and all of that, you had where there was a lot of automation and then it wasn't so labor intensive anymore. So when you talk about BA, there's some things that with this new technologies, the way you gather requirements is going to change. And then also too, it's not longer going to be about the technology. There's going to be more of a need and understanding for the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how the business has to integrate with AI and everything. And then you see with things like bots, if you've heard about bots, before people, when there were systems, legacy systems, so we can't do this, we can't bring in this application because, it can't integrate with our legacy system. All of a sudden, things like bots can sit on top of it and they're very seamless in its integration. What does that mean for how we gather requirements, how we support the business and everything? The focus now is more on the business process, how the business, is going to support the end user. So those kind of technologies are changing the way we do things. And what is also happening is that organizations are becoming much flatter. There's no longer that hierarchy whereby you would find, okay, let's wait for this person to do this and that person has to do this. We're moving more to agile work structures. And with agile work structures, it means that it's no longer about in the past where we sit as a BA, we do our requirements, wait for the business, project manager to do it, wait for this to happen, wait for a decision to make. Now we have to drive those decisions. Now we have to lead those change. Now we have to make those things happen. There's greater responsibility on everyone, not just BAs, but on many individual roles for us to take a leadership role in how we execute our job. And with a BA who is constantly working within a change environment, it's important that they are more able to know how to lead and drive change.
I mean, yeah, that's completely spot on. It just, when I started off my career, it was more SDLC, right? So everything was just put in one document, dumped as for business analysis, and then the developers and testers would pick it up, right? What I'm seeing now, to your point, is a whole agile environment where people have to take ownership of identifying changes or identifying impacts to the work that they're working on. So it's very interesting to see the transition, and there's an aha moment in speaking with you is that the pandemic has just expedited all this, and I didn't even realize that this is happening. As soon as you brought up privacy, it does resonate as well. But that being said, I know you have your Change Leadership Conference and your company as well. Can you kind of speak a little bit about that for our audience, and how do people get a hold of you if they want to get through your training?
Yeah, so they can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn and connect with me on, actually I'm on Facebook. We have a Facebook group as well. I can send you the link to the Facebook group, and on Instagram. And in terms of what we do is we're right now in the process of launching our Change Leadership training. It's called the Change Leadership Accelerator. We had the first cohort of it. We had BAs on it. We had change managers on it. And we had IT folks on it as well. And so I think that would be a great thing for people to attend. I don't say that because I'm the one doing it. I say that because the people who attended, like the business analysts, they were like, wow, this is so much helpful. One of the struggles they get is, how do I get to engage with my stakeholders? How do I get them to turn up? How do I get them to sign off on requirements? How do I get them even into meetings? How do I get them to stop pushing back against some of these changes, and push back and say, this is IT, this is business, all of those kind of things. So all of those things, and more are what we cover. And we also introduce people to even some of the concepts around change management frameworks. But even through, I tell people, don't focus on these models and frameworks, please. They all want to get into it, but I say, I'm introducing it to you so you have an idea of how to use it if you need to, but the focus is always around your change leadership skills. So we have the Change Leadership Accelerator online course, which is launching next week. And so I can share that with you, because we have some great bonuses for people who join within a week, and then it goes back up to normal price.
Okay.
And we have our Change Leadership Conference and events that we do as well. That's we've been doing some webinars and more like webcasts. I wouldn't call them webinars. We've done webinars, we've done webcasts. The next conference is next year. We're still in the process of planning. The pandemic threw a curveball for us there, like every other organization. We moved the one we had this year, because we usually have the Change Leadership Conference. We have master classes that are all in person. So all of those things we've had to postpone for this year, and say, we'll kick them off next year again. So this year we're just focusing on the course launches and the online event. And then the conference is actually May 2021.
Well, for my the viewers and those that are in our group and the readers of the blog, so this is definitely something that they should look forward to attending. I'll also look into it myself. So, but any kind of, I know we're almost at time. Is there anything that you would like to mention in addition to what we just went over?
I think we covered everything. Is there anything in particular that you feel that you wanted to get out of today's session that you haven't gotten?
This was really good. I really appreciate your time. And Yvonne, I'm also kind of building my foundation in terms of, my group of followers. So I think, if there's anything that's connected to change leadership or change management, I'll definitely connect with you.
Okay,
yeah.
so, yeah.
So I don't know. Let me stop recording here for a second.